We're back, people. What is up? Got another live stream today. Going over, just discussing Miami Dolphins stuff. I, want to talk about some of the best training camp battles because training camp is pretty much here. Next this upcoming week. I mean, the veterans will report in a couple of days, and then we'll have open practices to people on the 26th. So that should be very exciting. Some random stuff we can talk about, but I'm going to take questions, people in the chat, just nice little discussion. Funnily enough, oh my god, so I don't know if you guys saw, you probably saw the Tua video I posted yesterday. Honestly, YouTube comments, not that bad. They were pretty tame. But man, I posted just like a preview of the video on Twitter. Oh my god, the Twitter comments, they've still been going for like hours. I'm still getting comments from people. These threads are going wild. But let me go here. Okay, cool. I think we are good. So I guess I'll start with, before we get some questions in here, I could start with some of my training camp battles that I'm most looking forward to see. What's good, DC? But yeah, I'm going to talk about some of the training camp battles that I think will be very fun. I think, the secondary in general, just very exciting to see who kind of rolls out on top. Because I think, as of right now, since they haven't signed anyone, I think Kohu and Duck will be two of the corners. I'm excited to see who ends up kind of be the third corner because, nickel is basically base today in NFL. So I'm excited to see who the third corner ends up being out of this group. I think that'll be very interesting. I think it could go to people like that are, I could see making the roster, but also, being a starter. That's how, volatile that group is. Safety, I'm excited to see the battle versus like Patrick Morris, Dante Trader, the two young guys. If they can, fight for a spot or, potentially even seeing playing time, I think that'll be very interesting because, they're both younger. Both were later round draft picks. I think both are known for being better short area athletes, not like the best long speed guys, but also very smart players. I think that'll be very interesting to see how that kind of plays out. Second linebacker spot, I don't think is locked up. I think Dotson will have the early sort of lead there because he did see playing time last year for Miami. But I'm actually interested to see if any of those guys can kind of take over and actually earn that spot because Dotson, Willie Gay Jr., Katie Britt, while I think they all will play, I do think it's an open battle for the number 2 spot, which will be interesting. Edge, I'm kind of excited to see Kamara versus Grayson Murphy because I think Grayson Murphy versus Kamara is actually kind of a battle right now. They both could make the team, but I think there's a world where like only one of them does. Like in that world, I mean, I think that's also pretty likely. And Kamara was a 5th round pick that year, and Murphy was a UDFA. But 5th round picks, I wouldn't say are guaranteed spots. And Murphy, it seems like, has shown a lot of stuff. He showed stuff last year before his injury, and then this year it seems like with the OTA minicamps, he was kind of standing out, and he was kind of a force to be reckoned with in college. Had a lot of pressures, and he has like this versatile skill set. Slightly different players with like their builds. Kamara's more of got like that short, stocky build, while Murphy's like more of in that like longer, lean type of build. Both had like good sack pressure numbers in college, but will be interesting to see how that kind of plays out. I'm looking at some random stuff. Yeah, just if you guys have any questions that you want me to answer, it could be anything, Dolphins related, let me know. But I'm just going over just like random stuff right now. But yeah, I think those battles defensively are interesting. Maybe an underrated battle, I think, for a spot on the D line, because I've talked about the D tackle group. I think Kenneth Grant, Zach Sealer, Benito Jones, and Jordan Phillips are all like pretty set in stone making the roster. That's 4. You typically keep 5. I really feel like Matthew Butler versus like a Zeke Biggers, and maybe even throw Ben Still in there, is very interesting because they all have like very different skill sets. And I wonder which one they would rather keep as their 5th guy. I'm sure they'll probably be confident that they could probably still keep the other one on the practice squad, so it might not be that big of a deal. But I wonder who they will keep initially and what they're going to sort of value more. I'm sort of leaning towards Butler because he gives you more like a 5-tech type of versatility that I think you're missing from some of the other guys outside of Sealer. And then Butler also offers some like pass rush upside. What are you the most excited to see or hear this training camp? Yeah, I would say most excited to see or hear. Pretty much just always the rookies, specifically like UDFA standouts. It's like the first time, we actually get to see them in like NFL action. So like during camp and preseason, I always keep my eye closest on those guys, especially some people that I feel like I need a better like feel of. Like I have like Kenneth Grant, I'm excited to see in the preseason, but I already have a pretty good feel for Kenneth Grant. I guess I'm just kind of like, do I see if he's farther along than Chop was in preseason last year, or will it take him a little while? But like I'm confident he will be good eventually. If it's not right away, I still feel confident in that. So I'm trying to see some of these young guys. Like maybe I want to see, is Jason Marshall Jr. good enough to see playing time right away? Like how ready is Dante Trader Jr., stuff like that. And then the UDFAs, like who can stand out? Does anyone kind of like surprise like an Addison West type of player, who makes it out of the end of the receiving room? Because that's a training camp battle I'm looking forward to. Because I think you got your top 4 receivers set in stone. But then after that, like, I'm excited to see if Andrew Armstrong, Theo Weiss Jr., Taj Washington, any of these guys can stand out in that preseason, in the training camps, and really secure a spot. And like if they secure a spot, like they'll probably see a little bit of playing time in the rotation. Might not get looks, but like probably will be out there because just the nature of that position. But yeah, just young guys, UDFAs, late round draft picks in particular that I want to get a good feel for, and maybe because sometimes with those guys, I think the toughest part is like we are only relying on film, right? So in like what we hear about players off the field, sometimes the people that are like you kind of feel pretty similarly about them from film, but then one guy really stands out because maybe it's a work ethic thing that we weren't aware of, and they're able to really like make an impact, because sometimes that's the difference between a lot of those guys, especially UDFAs, is more of a work ethic thing. You lean Butler? Yeah, I'm kind of leaning Butler as well. I think they're very different players. Like Butler definitely, because I remember watching Butler when we first claimed him. Definitely some exciting pass rush ability, but does concern me with his run defense stuff. Howdy, what's up, old man Jeb? Dude, some of these comments, man, that I'm reading on this Twitter post are wild. Like, I'm still getting comments about the Wonderlic score. Like, how is that still being discussed? That's why in the Tua video, I was trying to be, more new. I tried to show the good, the bad. Obviously, I still think he's a good player, but I do feel like a lot of people, man, they live in the extremes when it comes to Tua. He can only be elite or he can only be horrible, and which is just like neither's really true. Like he might have elite moments, he might have horrible moments, but like the truth is definitely closer to the middle. Whether you lean towards, good side, bad side, whatever, at least it will be more reasonable to have a discussion. But like when it's in the extremes, I feel like I can't even have a discussion with those people. Is Julian juggling with Jalen Hand-Eye's coordination? Wonderlick, he's nuts. Is Julian juggling with Jalen Hand-Eye's coordination? I'm not sure what you're asking, Elwood. I liked your Tua video, appreciate it. I saw this thread that involved Curtis from Ace Per Head. It had the same issue. I think I know what thread you're talking about. But honestly, I start seeing so many comments. I'm like, damn, I can't even read that stuff anymore. Like, let's just have some reasonable takes. Hard question. Only 4 safety makes the roster. Should 4? Oof. That's tough, Don. I still think they're going to keep more than 4. And is it who I would keep or who do I think the Dolphins would keep? Because I do feel, in my honest opinion, I do think the Dolphins are going to find a way to keep all of them, whether it's like, because last year, like they kept McMorris in a way where like McMorris had an injury, right? So they kept McMorris initially on the roster because if they put him on IR, he would be out for season. They end up putting him on an injury list after they keep him initially, which allows him to come back at some point during the season. But they cut their long snapper to do that, then brought back their long snapper. I see them doing that in the safety room because I don't think they're going to want to risk losing like a McMorris or a Trader. But who would I keep? Okay. I would keep, obviously, Minka. Melifonwu would be my top 2 starters. Oh, man. honestly, I am thinking long term. I think with the defense, and I think long term, and I think both, I would keep McMorris and Trader. I don't think that's what the Dolphins would do. I don't think they would cut Ashton Davis and Elijah Campbell, who I think are both serviceable, but I don't think it's worth it to keep them, potentially risk the long-term value if one of them can end up developing into a starter. And I think both could still be decent depth players for you. So that's probably where I would go. You might even still be able to keep Ashton Davis, Elijah Campbell. But I think they'll keep Campbell for special teams reasons, and then Ashton Davis I could see even like seeing playing time in 3 safety sets. Honestly, in the secondary, as you know, in the secondary, I am thinking long term because a lot of these guys are very young and we are a lot of question marks. So I'm trying to see what you have out of these young guys because we don't know what they are. Like, we know what Ashton Davis is. We know what Elijah Campbell is. We don't know what Trader and McMorris could potentially be. Campbell is a dog. You guys will learn. Oh, no, I like Campbell. Campbell is a dog. But if I was forced to keep 4, I think Campbell should have started last year over Jordan Poyer. Personally, he's a very good special teams player, and he's always been underrated on defense. It's just long term wise, is he a long term answer? No. Robert Pinn's wide receiver working with Julian Hill in catches. Do we know if he is? I don't know. He should be, but also I actually don't even like. He obviously needs to work on his catching ability and like his fumbling ability because whenever he gets the ball, it's like I feel like he's gonna fumble. But what he really needs to focus on is just being a more consistent blocker because he'll never be a great receiver. Like, he doesn't have that skill set. He doesn't have the potential for it. He has the potential to be a good blocker because it's there. Like, you see the high level blocks. It's just very inconsistent. So for me, it's just working about consistency as a blocker. If he does that, then he fulfills his job. But yeah, it would be nice if he was more, at least like he's never going to be like a great, like get open type of tight end. He can maybe catch underneath. He'll run hard, but I feel like sometimes he runs too hard and then he loses control of that ball because, man, the fumbling is insane. Do you really think Ashton Davis is worth keeping? I think for this, Brian, it's like, if I look at the room, Melifonwu, Elijah Campbell, Patrick McMorris, and Dante Trader Jr. all aren't really single high free safety types. Minka can play free safety, and he has a lot of experience playing free safety, but I actually think it's better when Minka's not playing free. I think it allows you to get him more involved. So to me, Ashton Davis is like the only one in the room that has like true middle of the field free safety experience and has actually probably at his best there. That's the value, I think, of keeping Ashton, is you can play him as the single high guy if you're in 3 safety sets, and then you have Melifonwu and Minka Fitzpatrick more roam around, play as buzz defenders, get down in the box where I think they can be more useful. Because like that's where I would like Davis. I don't think Davis is great. Like, you don't want Davis playing man-to-man. I think he struggles in man-to-man. He can do some underneath zone stuff, but outside of that, he's more of a depth guy that I would rather be starting the other ones, but he might be the only one with the single high skill set outside of Minka. But I think playing Minka at single high kind of diminishes his value a bit. But the safety room's tough, man. We're in a tough spot. I think they're going to keep Ashton, and I think they like Ashton, and I wouldn't be surprised if he sees a lot of playing time. Thoughts on Cam Smith? Honestly, my hopes in that corner room are probably lowest for Cam Smith, I'll be honest. Wonder why Smythe fell off so much. I mean, I wouldn't say he fell off so much. He was never like super high to really fall off, but he definitely fell off last year at least a little bit. And I would say that was just a combination of everything. I think the tight ends, the fullbacks, and the O-line all kind of like everything's attached to each other. So I think when like the guard play was so bad last year, I think it just sort of goes out, and then Austin Jackson went down, so you had backup tackles playing. And I feel like that effect just sort of like slowly leaks out to the tight ends, and then the tight ends sort of affect the interior. So like the tight ends aren't playing good, the O-line, and like everything just combines and equals bad play. That's why I think having better, at least starter O-linemen should at least help elevate the tight ends and fullbacks at least a little bit. I think because of the corner room, they play more 3 safety. Yes, I agree. From Steelers side, heard Michael was not happy playing in the box and was freelancing too much. I've read some of that type of things, but I've also heard from other people that it's mostly some BS, and it was a problem with like the entire secondary. Isaiah Johnson, yeah, probably. Is there a rule where they don't sign a vet corner and just go with the unknown? Honestly, I think for long term, I think that's, if you're thinking from a long term perspective, which the Dolphins, it seems like they kind of have been with a lot of the moves they've made this offseason. Long term perspective, that's probably your best move long term. Because if you bring in a guy like, say, Rasul Douglas, right? Rasul Douglas might help you short term, but he's not going to help you at all in the long term. And then also, he might hurt your chances of seeing more players get a chance. Because let's say we don't sign a corner, and then we just kind of rotate people in and out and just see who's the best is. We play Kohu, we play Duck. Well, let's say, Isaiah Johnson, if we brought in Rasul Douglas, Isaiah Johnson's chances of actually seeing playing time would go down so much. But maybe if he did play and he ended up showing like, oh, he could be a number 3 corner in the NFL. He proved that. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but at least it gives him that opportunity to prove he could be that. And then long term, that probably helps out your team the most, because then corner becomes less of a need the next season. It also helps you out if he actually shows up. Yeah, Asante Samuel Jr., for me, out of the veteran corners, Asante Samuel Jr. is the only one that could potentially be a long-term help. And that's because he is 25, but he's also got other concerns with injuries. Like, he's got a neck injury right now, and it's pretty serious. He also doesn't want to tackle. So he's like a smaller corner that doesn't want to tackle and has injury problems. Outside of that, there's some good to work with, but yeah. Oh, Benford's very good on the Bills. Very good. I don't know. I actually think it's the best move not to sign a vet corner because I don't think anyone out there really makes that much of a difference to the room. They might make you slightly better, but I don't think it's enough to outweigh the value of letting the young guys play and seeing what you have. Yeah. To be fair, if Samuel does get injured, I guess that means at least your young guys will get to play. So if they were going after a young guy, or if they were going in a veteran corner, this would be my ideal scenario. It would be to sign Asante Samuel Jr. to a deal that has a lot of incentives because he has the injury history. So like it would be an incentives-based deal. Would he actually be willing to accept that? I don't know. So it'd be his base deal would be pretty cheap, but the incentives would raise it quite a bit. And then if he played well, then it's like, okay, incentives raised. Then you could potentially have him be a long-term threat or a long-term guy because he would be still pretty young, and he would actually help you. But I don't know. Staying with a team who you only keep 4 edges, who you keeping? Well, I don't see them. I think they keep at least 5. They've always kept at least 5. But I mean, they're going to keep Phillips, Chubb, Chop, obviously. If they only kept 4, they would probably keep Bell because Bell would, I think, mesh into that 4 pretty good. But I don't think it's going to be just 4. Yeah, we don't have much cap space. I believe they only have like 3 million. They can create a lot more if they wanted to with extensions and stuff. Like they could easily extend players like Jordan Brooks, Zach Sealer, create cap space. Like if they want to sign someone, they can make enough cap space. You think McDaniel should relinquish the play calling to someone else? Not to start the season. I think maybe if the season's going in a poor direction, then he should switch it up. But I don't know. If I was McDaniel, if I was in McDaniel's shoes, I wouldn't give it up. I would be like, hey, I'm going down with the ship. I'm not putting it in someone else's hands unless he really thinks someone's gonna like come in and call better plays. But I don't know if he feels that way. Liam brought back to compete for starting spot. Not if everyone's healthy. I don't think. I think he's more competing for like first backup. Waddle is bringing the Waddle back in 50 days. Yeah, he does need to bring the Waddle back. Ryder, do you see Jalen Conyers making it on the roster? I think there's a very good shot. I recently just made a UDFA video. It's only members only right now. But I made like UDFAs with the best shot of making it, and Conyers was one that was, I think he was the first person I mentioned. So, I mean, I wouldn't guarantee it. I don't think there's a guarantee for any UDFA ever. It's hard to predict, but I think he has a very good shot because one, I think he has the talent for it. Two, I think he was one of the guys that got guaranteed money, which is always a good sign that the teams are higher on him. I think the only two teams he said the two teams he was talking to were the Niners and the Dolphins. They were kind of like bidding over him, which makes sense, in the Shanahan style system. I could see Conyers being that next guy they try to develop if they want to keep him over like a Tanner Conner. I would be trading either Phillips or Chubb in season before the trade deadline if they're playing well. It depends on how the season's going. Like if they're in the playoff hunt, like they have a chance of being in the playoffs, I wouldn't trade them. But if the season's over and they're playing well, then yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. They're on the final years, right? Or Phillips is on his final year. I think Chubb is still around, but they could easily move on from him after this. What's their Dolphins rate of keeping UDFAs compared to the other teams? I actually don't know. I don't know how I would check that, but at least from my understanding, the Dolphins have a pretty good UDFA rate. Is Patrick Paul a left tackle something you're confident in? I think in this system, I'm not that worried about Paul. I think my biggest worry with the O-line is the depth. I'm not super concerned with the starters because I think the starters are very good scheme fits, and I think they can all get the job done with what's asked in the system. I would have concerns if Paul was in like a true pass set type of scenario, but the Dolphins very rarely do that, so it's not that big of a deal. Don't ask AI, bro. Trust me. Yeah. Didn't Conyers and Tanner go to the Fair University with Kelsey and Kittles? I think Conyers did. I don't know if Tanner Conner went. It might have been Pharaoh Brown. I know two of the Dolphins tight end went, but it might have been Pharaoh Brown and Jalen Conyers that went. Almost our entire, yeah, the Dolphins have a very high corner UDFA rate. That's why BJ Adams, BJ Adams, Ethan Robinson, even John Saunders Jr., who's a safety, played a lot of nickel in college. That could give, if they move him to nickel, I think that would actually give him a better chance of making the team. But yeah, most of that room, Duck, Kohu, Bonner, Isaiah Johnson, lots of UDFA corners. Okay. Reading, still getting comments from people on those Twitter posts. Just comedy. Dude, these guys are so mad. There was one post I got on that McDaniel, or on the Tua thing yesterday, that actually might have been the dumbest thing I've ever read. They were talking about stepping up in the pocket on that Twitter post and like pointing arrows and stuff, and like should have created with his legs, then threw it to Tyreek. I'm like, but he completed it to Tyreek before he got hit. Like, what does that difference make? I'm like, whatever, okay. Training camp battle I'm looking forward to is Jonah against Grant and Jordan Phillips and 1-on-1s. Oh yeah, that's a good shout. There's definitely some battles I want to see too. Yeah, like that type of battles. Because yeah, there's battles of like, this O-lineman versus this O-lineman, like who's gonna make the team. But then yeah, there's battles of like, yeah, young guys versus young guys. I'm excited to see our star receivers versus these corners for sure. How well can they respond? Hypothetically, if you had to choose between signing TJ for 40 mil or Micah for 50 mil, who are you taking? I mean, at this point in their career, it's considering age, I would be taking Parsons. TJ Watt's pretty old, and he's not the player he used to be. And didn't he just get like the highest contract of like basically for non-QB? 2024 total of 43 UDFAs across the NFL running final 53 with 32 teams that averages about 1.3 Dolphins. Yeah, Dolphins are usually around 2 to 3 range for sure. I feel like Grant will swallow Brewer whole. No, Parsons is better than TJ Watt at this point. Like right now, TJ, like if you go watch TJ Watt and Parsons is doing a lot of creating. Well, Watt, a lot of it, he's doing creating, but a lot of his sacks are actually coming off of cleanup stuff. No offense to TJ Watt. TJ Watt is still good, but I feel like he is a little bit overrated at this point in his career. Like for what he is now, I feel like people still think he's like the elite player. What's going on with Siller? Is he wanting more money? What's the news? I mean, I'm pretty sure he wants a new contract, but I don't think he's holding out or anything. Because he went to all the camps and stuff. This can push people. I think Andrew Meyer versus Addison West is an interesting battle. Oh, didn't realize. I think I disconnected there for a second. But I'm back. Okay. I wasn't even paying attention. Addison West versus Andrew Meyer, I think, could be potentially interesting. Armstrong versus Theo Weiss Jr., I think, is an interesting battle. I think Malik Washington versus Nick Westbrook-Akine is not necessarily a battle because I think they're both going to play a lot. But I'm excited to see like if anyone can kind of edge out and like really cement themselves as wide receiver 3. I don't know if either will, because I think both might just see equal amounts of playing time because they have very different skill sets. But I wonder if either of them will like super stand out and like really cement that third role. Zach Siller might be my favorite between him or Waddle. Oh yeah, Waddle is for sure up there for me. I'm a big draft since I'm such a big draft person. Like the guys that we like take that I really liked in the draft always end up being guys that I like extra like on Miami. Obviously, Waddle was someone I loved pre-draft. Malik Washington is someone I loved pre-draft. So those are two of my favorite. Achane as well. Yeah, and then guys like Sealer, obviously Sealer, super love him. Jalen Phillips, Chop Robinson. I actually love Minka. I loved Minka coming out. Jordan Brooks is one of my favorite players on the Dolphins. Audio cutting in and out. I think you gotta restart it because I think it's good now, Flum. Or just like hit a refresh on the stream. I think it's just YouTube at this point. Yeah. Hit a refresh. Let me type. Just hit a refresh. I think it should be good if you guys refresh YouTube. Let me know. Yeah. I disconnected for a second, but then it went back to perfect. I think that's just after that. It's weird. It's like, yeah, YouTube. Did you guys refresh or did it just go back to good on its normal? I'm curious. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, audio. Okay. Does Chop win a starting role? See, for me, I think Phillips, Chubb, and Chop, it doesn't really matter who the starter is. I think all three of them will play like very similar amounts. So I'm not too concerned with whoever ends up being the starter. Because like it wouldn't surprise me if Chop doesn't start, but he ends up seeing more playing time throughout the game than like Phillips or something, or Chubb. Because, they are coming off those injuries. Maybe they feel more confident in Chubb and Phillips as run defenders. And so they're the starters of that first play, but then Chop ends up playing more. Either way, Chop's going to play a lot and be one of the best players on the team, in my opinion. Yeah, tight end battle is super interesting. I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if Connors can carving out a role. I think that will be a little tougher than making the team. Okay. Yeah, I just think all three are gonna play. That one doesn't matter. Like D-Tackle, do you like him or Butler at D-line 6? Elwood, I actually think they're both fighting for 5. Because I think if the first 4 are Grant, Benito, Sealer, Phillips. And then I think the 5th will be either like Butler or Zeke Biggers. Yeah. Tua's fate tied to McDaniel, Mike stay, so does Tua, Mike fire, new coach takes new team that fits his game. Yeah, I agree. I think this is what I like. I think if you start over completely. Unless the person you brought in was like, perfectly for me, if McDaniel does get fired, that probably also means Tua probably got injured. Because I think if Tua stays healthy, that would raise McDaniel's chances of staying very much, and then obviously they would probably stick together. But then if Tua got hurt, then yeah, they would probably move. They could move on from McDaniel, and then that would also mean you probably move on from Tua. So yeah, I do agree they're tied together, and I think that's probably what you should do. I think you should probably full reset than rather just like half it. I mean, I don't mind just moving on like GM and then maybe nothing else, but depends on how the season goes. It's 3rd and 8. What pass rush do you want in? 3rd and 8, all 3 of them. All 3 on the field. Put Phillips on the interior. Let him work a stunt with Sealer, and then Chop and Chubb on the outside. But honestly, I do think if they're, let's say if they're all 3 healthy, I would say I would have Chop and Phillips. But also Chop and Phillips, here's the interesting part, because I think Chop and Phillips are your most talented pass rushers. I think Chubb's also quite good, but Chubb is more comfortable playing as the right defensive end, and then Chop and Phillips are more comfortable playing left defensive end. They both can play both sides, but there is a very clear difference, like when you see them on the other side. So Chop and Phillips are more comfortable playing on the same side, so you could see them rotating more, while Chubb is more comfortable playing on the side that's like the solo side. Want Weaver as our headman? He'll be a possibility if they do go in a different direction. I ain't getting rid of Tua unless you got seriously injured, Cassian. Oh yeah, I think I don't think they'll move on from him unless there's an injury. I think if he stays fully healthy, that means they probably had a good season. But I also think, for me, like as I said, like people try to do the whole, people like there's the Tua stands, the Tua haters. They'll try to put me in the stand thing. Like I think Tua's good. I do think even if he does stay healthy, next year's class at QB, I think could be potentially pretty good. So I don't think you can ignore it. I think you should always be looking, especially at quarterback. If you have the chance to potentially upgrade, you should. Now, will the Dolphins be in a position to actually have a chance to upgrade? Probably not. I think, it's usually pretty tough to be in that position. But if they do find themselves in that position, then yeah, I don't think you can just ignore it. It has to be at least talked about, discussed. I also did see this. I saw this was, hold on. This was an EPA chart. So it's EPA per attempt, catchable ball percentage on throwing outside the numbers. Look who's in the top right on throwing outside the numbers and catchable ball percentage. Now this is probably helpful because he doesn't throw it as much outside the numbers, but when he does, Tua is actually pretty successful, at least based on the stats. This doesn't tell the full story. Let me put that out there. But it is something he has found success doing. I do think sometimes people end up using, they say he can't even throw outside the numbers, which is not true. It's just not his go-to. I also saw this from Tej Analytics, Tej FB Analytics on Twitter. He says, feels like Dolphins DC Anthony Weaver needs to be talked about more. Miami ranked 9th in EPA per play allowed and 12th in success rate allowed with an okay defensive roster, which is pretty true. Like the Dolphins defensive roster wasn't the most talented last year, especially towards the end of the season. There was there was definitely injuries to play through. And he still had like a pretty good success rate. I think this year will be a huge tell for him because he has a very talented, I think, defensive front, but his secondary, like on paper is arguably worse than the league, right? So if he can make it work this year, like then Weaver's really going to be like, I'll be super confident in Weaver. Like the defense is like good. Doesn't have to be great. I would say good. But yeah, he said he felt like he did a great job of maximizing Zach Sealer and Chad Robinson's pass rushes and overcoming their deficiencies in the back seven. Yeah, I think that's another reason that the Dolphins felt confident, maybe not putting as much resources in the secondary, is because Weaver. If there was one area Weaver was pretty good last year, it was playing against the weaknesses of the Dolphins secondary, maximizing the strengths of the team, and then overcoming those deficiencies. So I think that might be a reason the Dolphins maybe ignored it a little bit. The corners, not the secondary. Yeah, true, the corners. But the secondary as a whole would still be rated pretty low because the safety group, it's not like it's like top tier or anything, Adding Minka helps a lot. Like before they added Minka, the safety room was probably, towards the end of the league as well. In terms of at least talent on paper. Weaver defense was definitely soft. No, I think that had to do a lot with the personnel, to be honest. I do think there was times where like they played a little soft in terms of like off in coverage that I would have liked, but I think that was kind of a personnel issue that the Dolphins had. And I think they're trying to flip that this season. I think with a lot of the corners they brought in, a lot of them are press man guys. So I think they're going to be playing a lot more press stuff. I do not trust Tua's arm, honestly. I mean, I think arm strength is, I think, is pretty overrated in terms of like something I want on my quarterback. Like, yeah, it's nice to have, but there's a lot more traits I'm concerned about. Bring back Robbie Chosen. No, thanks. Rider's my favorite film. Problem is my wife makes fun for watching a 12-year-old on YouTube. It is funny that, yeah. Some people do think I am 12. That's usually one of the... Yeah, I also saw this. There was a QB production in trips formation. This was an interesting chart that I saw yesterday. This one, look at this. So this is QB production in trips formation, EPA per dropback, and then formation rate. So the Dolphins run trips. So look where Tua is on the trips formation. They run it near the bottom of the league. If you look at it, it's Darnold, Stroud, Stafford, Purdy. This is the whole Shanahan tree. This is all the Shanahan and McVay teams. They just don't run trips. But when they run trips, Tua is the most successful in terms of EPA. Now, I mean, the EPA would probably drop a bit if they ran it more, just due to, that's usually how things work. But man, maybe run some more trips. Something at least Tua excels in. They just run it very little. My wife says the same thing. Hey. I'm not 12, guys, okay? Only when they hear my voice, they think I'm 12. To be honest, I don't really hear it, but I guess when you only hear me and not see me, I only get it over microphones too. Like I never get it in real life. Dolphins agreed to terms with Jonas Savionaya. A lot of people happy about that. Personally, they give him fully guaranteed contract. Either way, I was like, this is going to get done. I don't really care if it's fully guaranteed or almost fully guaranteed. Like, it doesn't really matter to me. That was something I wasn't really worried about. So glad that's done. Yeah. Arm strength equals potential full route tree. No, I don't think so. I think pretty much every QB can throw the full route tree. Like Tua can throw the full route tree. Like he has reps of him throwing the deep corner. It's just he has to throw that route a lot earlier because sometimes the ball will float on him. But he has that skill set to throw with anticipation. Pretty much every QB can throw the full route tree. The times where, in my opinion, arm strength comes into play is like when you're off script and then the QB can throw it, off platform 60 yards down the field. And there's only a few of those guys in the NFL. But those plays are so rare that I think they just become overrated. And And then like I also think like arm strength might come into play on like hitting a tight window over the middle of the field. That's another area where I don't think Tua really struggles with because of the anticipation factor. So like arm strength can definitely limit him in certain situations. I don't think that's the reason for. I don't think that's what that equals, to be honest. I just think like arm strength is one of the last things I'm looking for in terms of QB traits. Like if you were, I would rather have them be very smart processing. I'd rather have them be a better athlete too, than arm strength. I would prefer that. Like if you're a very good processor, very good athlete, and you have an average arm, oh man, you could thrive with a guy like that in the NFL. Our schedule has much better QB play this year. Last year we played a lot of trash QBs. Yeah. I mean, our schedule is pretty easy on paper this year too, though, but things can change. Yeah. Yeah, Jamarcus Russell is probably one of the biggest examples of like, people get caught up a lot in the physical tools. Now, if you have the other tools and then also have the physical tools, then yeah, then you're going to probably be one of the best QBs in the league because then you have everything. But usually they're really good because of more so the processing side, less so because they have like great arm strength. That's what can maybe elevate them. But yeah. I think Tua is a horrible athlete. Yeah, he's not. I wouldn't say. Yeah, he's definitely one of the lower athletes on the QB side of things. I don't think you sound 12, just sound excited. Yeah. It's all good. Hey. Flem, you gotta show Tua some respect. Because without Tua, Waddle's gonna have a horrible year. And we don't want that, Flem. We don't want that. We need Waddle to go crazy. You think O-line play will be better this year? Will JS and JD upgrade, assuming offset Armstead downgrade? Yeah, I think so. I think losing Arms. Here's the thing with losing Armstead, right? Because I think people are kind of over. Like Armstead was obviously very good, but Armstead missed a lot of time. So the O-line played without Armstead a lot. I actually think if Paul stays healthy and plays like every snap, that sort of consistency of like them building chemistry together, playing next to the same person, will actually do a lot of the offsetting with like Armstead being in and out of the lineup constantly. Obviously, Armstead's very good. And I think Paul, a lot of his weaknesses are masked in the scheme. So I think having the guards be much better, which I think they will be much better, even though I think Jonah will have some rookie, growing pains, and I think James Daniels might not be back to 100%. I still feel like that will elevate. So like the starting group, I think will be good because same with Austin Jackson. Austin Jackson was super valuable to the run game last year. When he went down, the Dolphins' run game went down a lot. I think the starting group can create a push in the run game. While I think there could be problems in pass pro, this team will be helped with the run game getting better. It'll be helped with the scheme. It will be helped with Tua's quick release. My problem with the O-line is the depth. I think you can survive with 4 of the 5 guys playing, so maybe 1 depth guy in. But I think once you go below that, like 3 of the 5 are starting in a game, that's where you're going to start seeing like a real fall off, and like it would look more like last year's team. So like health is super important on the O-line. Yeah. Yeah, I would say like arm talent is very important. Arm talent does not equal arm strength though. You know what I'm saying? Like I think a lot of people think arm talent equals arm strength. No, arm talent is like arm strength's a part of the equation, but it's also like throwing with touch. Can you mix up your velocity? Because like I would say that's something like Justin Herbert, right? Justin Herbert has good arm talent, has crazy arm strength, but he struggles to throw with touch, which is something that I think, hurts him at times. Tua, a very good touch thrower, but doesn't have the arm strength, so that hurts him in certain situations. But then also arm talent comes into accuracy at all 3 levels, accuracy off platform, throwing at different arm angles. That's why I think like arm talent is like usually what people should be talking about instead of arm strength, because arm strength is a part of it, but there's a lot more factors. But yeah, accuracy is probably the most important out of the at all three levels too, because some people are only accurate in the short game, in the medium game, in the intermediate, and then in the long game. Some are all three, some are good at two, some aren't good at any. I like Tua. I just want to see more deep routes for Waddle. I feel like Hill gets all the targets. I mean, yeah, I'm down for that too. In my opinion, the deep routes will come if the Dolphins can run the ball. I think that's like, because I feel like people talk about the average depth of target dropping, and that was a huge problem with the offense. But I think they equate that to like just Tua. But I think it actually had more to do with, because even when Tua was out, it didn't matter. The Dolphins couldn't throw the ball down the field, right? They couldn't even really attempt it because I think they couldn't run the ball. They couldn't get their play action game going, and then teams were able to get them in like in those obvious situations, like third and longs, where then they can get after the quarterback, which is not where the Dolphins do not want to be. They do not want to be in third and long. That's why they're not good in third and long. Did you not see a lot of strength in Paul's blocks when he needs to hold his ground with his blocks? Ryder, did you not see a lot of strength in Paul's blocks when he needs? I think Paul has very good play strengths in terms of anchor. He's very tough to move, but I do agree I want to see Paul move people more. And he has like the size and play strength for it, but I think it's less strength of why he doesn't move people and more of a technique leverage situation with him. Because I think when he was in a spot where he could move people, he did, but he needs to be better with like hand placement, leverage, angles. Waddle definitely, yeah. I love Waddle. Hopefully, honestly, I kind of hope this is Hill's last year. I hope Waddle spends this whole. If Waddle spends his entire career with the Dolphins, he'll probably hold a lot of the Dolphins' receiving records if he plays like his entire career. BB, I feel like completely they will be a lot better than last year. Being way underrated. I mean, some people think I've seen some people underrate the Dolphins because some people have said like the Dolphins are going to be the worst team in the league. Now, I think if they suffer with injuries and like Tua gets hurt again, yeah, they could be they'll probably be one of the worst teams in the league like last year. But I do think if they stay healthy, which, I mean, it's a lot to ask for, apparently, then the Dolphins are being a bit underrated. I do think they're one of the toughest teams to predict in this upcoming season because there's a lot of potential outcomes. But yeah. It is interesting to see people, like, it feels like people have given, like, way up, which I don't mind. I don't mind, like, the national media not talking about Miami. I don't even want us to be talked about. Just ignore us. Let us do our own thing. Career drafted Waddle, didn't he? Yes. Being way underrated, I meant. Yeah, I got that. Figured that one out. You're using the screen game as an extension of the run. Yeah, that's another reason that the average depth of target drops so much. How do the Dolphins keep defenses guessing with personnel, tight end, running back? I don't know if it's necessarily about like the personnel packages. I think the Dolphins just need to find what works this season. Dolphins have always been pretty good in 21. I think they're going to run more 11 personnel this season, which I think should maybe help spread things out a bit. And maybe that will allow more trips, which we just showed that EPA chart and how the Dolphins kind of look in trips. That could potentially, give defenses different looks than they're used to because the Dolphins don't run a lot of those types of formations. and that personnel package, I think they're at like the bottom of the league. Yeah, I don't know if it's specifically about personnel, and it's more just like, hey, keep the running game consistent, and that will make the defense's lives a lot harder. You think Butch Barry should be replaced the O-line coach? I don't think so. I mean, when he came in, Jackson had his best year. I mean, I don't really know. It's tough to say with position coaches because you never really know how much of an effect they're making from outside. But like most of the guys, like at least brought in, have been pretty good with him. Except and there was also some guys, like obviously Eichenberg didn't really get better, but from my understanding, I think Minka is going to be talking on Tuesday, Thomas, from what I've seen. Like in the... Oh no, I fell out of the top 3. How did that happen? Honestly, I don't even know how that works. I don't even know the... I think that's like a new thing. It shows like top fans. Oh, I can check. You're 4th. But everyone's tied. Wait, that's so weird. Okay, so it says 75 XP for the person in 1st place, but the person in 14th place also has 75 XP. So whatever that means, you guys from 1 to 14 are tied. Keith Stray, shout out Trent McDuffie, one of my guys in that draft. Oof. Okay. Yeah. Any final questions? Because I think there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about. God. Oh man. Okay, man. Time to start muting people. I'm done with seeing these people in my Twitter comments. They've been talking for over 24 hours in my notification. I usually don't get a lot of Twitter notifications because I don't post a crazy amount on Twitter. But holy, I've gotten so many in the past day because of that Tua video. And your Waller breakdown, he lined up out wide and ran slants effective. Yeah, Waller will be a part. Waller's more of a receiver than he is a tight end, to be honest. Is it odd? I think we're going to be good at corner. Maybe a little bit. I'll say this. I don't think it will be as big of a deal as maybe like some people are making it out to be. Because like you see a lot of like the people in the national media, they look at our corner room and be like, it's the worst in the league on paper. And honestly, I don't disagree. Like if I haven't looked at every corner group, but if I go look at every corner group, you're probably going to see a more talented group on paper, like and like less question marks. But I think due to Weaver's defense and how he's going to run things, I don't think it will be as big of an issue as people think it's going to be. There will be games where the secondary gets exposed, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's going to be like this thing where the Dolphins secondary is just getting torched every game, something like that. Oliver, I appreciate it. Maybe this will help my rank get a coffee on me. Appreciate that. Get a beverage. Appreciate it, my guy. Not great, but good. I think the corner room will probably be like serviceable. And that would be more so because of like the D-line and Weaver's scheme than anything else. But then also I wouldn't be surprised to see like one of the young guys be better than expected, like an Ethan Bond or Isaiah Johnson be better than maybe people think. I think the Dolphins believe they will stretch the field again. I think that's definitely what they, at least based on their moves, it's clearly what they're going for. Any free agent DBs that it might be available other than Samuel? I mean, apparently they've been talking to Samuel and Rasul Douglas. I think that's people the most, right? But outside of that, I'm not not a ton of names. There's like Mike Hilton, but he's like a nickel only corner. See, yeah, Jeb, it brought you up to number 1, and I can look at my top fans. It brought you up to 175 XP, and everyone else is still at 75. I don't understand how this ranking system works. I mean, clearly, yeah, making a super chat would definitely bring you up. That makes sense. But I'm not sure like how the rest of it like is going up. Maybe it's just like how much you chat. People are gonna start spamming. Maybe you do like, you know, like people do like that heart and shit, whatever that is. I don't know. See, I might sound like I'm 12, but I don't have the internet knowledge of a 12-year-old. I got the basics down. I'll say this. Hey, for Patrick Paul, if you guys been following me, you know I wasn't the biggest Patrick Paul fan of the pick in the draft. And I'm still not. It still wasn't my favorite pick, to be honest. But I do think for this scheme, I think if you were another team, man, the pick would have been a lot worse for like a non-Shanahan team. I think for this scheme, it's the best way to utilize his skill set and like protect his weaknesses. And then also with Paul, what was I going to say? Go watch the Texans game. His Texans game will show you like a lot of the good stuff. Like his film versus Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter in that game are probably what gave me the most faith in him going into the second year, because he was stonewalling those guys and he was left on like true one-on-ones against them multiple times. And those were like 2 of the highest pressure getters last year. Is this why there's no respect people now? Yeah, Luffy. I think it's like some new addition, and it just like the top like 3 get like the crowns next to them or something. I saw it in my YouTube. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, Jules, testing. Love your content. Appreciate that, Jules. Hey, let's see. Let's see what it brought you up to. I don't know if it's updated yet. I don't think it's updated quite yet, Jules. Because I don't even see your name. But who knows? Mikey, joining the members. Oh my god, so much stuff is happening. It's like the most it's ever happened. Appreciate you. Yeah, you guys want to join up for members? I got early access to some videos. Appreciate you, Mikey. Welcome. With free, no, what was I gonna say? With preseason right out in the corner, you guys join up. I'm gonna have a lot of those film breakdowns out early to like the members. Obviously, I'll get them out as quick as possible, but like I'm gonna probably make a lot of them early on. But yeah, help me quit my day job. That would be nice. Big fan of the Kenneth Grant pickup. Me as well. Let me see. Hold on. Missing stuff. Yeah, appreciate you, Mikey, Jules, Jeb, Legends. Okay. I'm not sure. What are your stat predictions for him? Okay, let me start with Jalen Wright. Okay, Jalen Wright. I would say Jalen Wright is probably the player I expect to have the biggest jump from last year to this year. I think he's going to get a lot more carries. I don't know stats-wise what it would look like, but like I wouldn't be surprised with like maybe around like 800-ish rushing yards. I think he's going to see one of the biggest jumps, because I think he'll be more comfortable in this system, because I think it was him coming from Tennessee to this system. He clearly has the skill set for it, but he barely ran outside zone at Tennessee. He has really good athleticism. A lot of his yards last year were after contact. Like I believe like he had like 280 last year. I think like 250 something were after contact. So I think just better blocking will help him take a jump. I'm not sure what his stats will be, but I do think like Jalen Wright is someone I expect to see take the biggest jump. If they play 3 safeties last, only need 1 corner beside Ko who to step up. I'm imagining it will probably be Duck. I think will be the guy they rely on. My coach always said the best defense is one that relies on DBs last. Not in terms of your DBs are the most active, you are doing something wrong. Yeah. I think that's definitely the Dolphins' thought process. Best camp battle: CB1, RB2, LB2, wide receiver 4 and 5. Okay. CB1. I mean, honestly, I think Kohu will be your corner 1, whether he's playing outside or inside. RB2, I think Jalen Wright's got it locked up. I think LB2 and wide receiver like 5 are very interesting, because LB2, I think all three will play, but it will be interesting to see who ends up kind of taking that spot. I think Dotson has the early advantage, but like Dotson versus Willie Gay, KJ Britt, I think that's super interesting because all three have very different skill sets. And then wide receiver 4 and 5, it will be interesting to see who wins like the 3 role, like Washington versus Westbrook Akine. Whoever doesn't win, obviously, will be 4. But 5 is like super up for grabs. Like, could be Armstrong, could be Theo Weiss Jr., could be Estridge, could be Taj Washington. Like, man, I think that one's super intriguing. And they all, like, you know, very different skill sets there. Riders in the Storm Duck Camp. That's good. That is good. I've had a lot of people say Riders that sing that song to me, or just that line. Or like in high school, the announcer, whenever I made like a tackle, would always say Rough Rider on the tackle because of the DMX thing. But yeah, Storm Duck. I think that's. I mean, the Dolphins are in the Storm Duck camp. To be honest, I think the Dolphins love Storm Duck. I think Ethan Bonner is like right up there with Storm Duck, but I think the Dolphins are higher on Storm Duck. All good if not, Jules. No, yeah, Jules, you're at number 2. Or at least it showed you at number 2 when you commented. Wait, who's this? Oh yeah, you are at number 2. For some reason when I went to fans, it didn't show your name. It showed like the @ for your name, which was different. That's why I was confused. Okay. Is Duck just a quack? Yeah, I'll make that a title of my YouTube video. I didn't see Malik Washington get much separation on the route last year. That concerns me for a small guy. Did you see the same thing? So here's my thing with that. I can understand where you're coming from because he is not like a super like. Actually, I mean, let me find these clips because there's a few clips out there that give me a lot of faith. Because one with Malik Washington, he's more of a guy that should play in the slot and be like a find the soft spots versus zone type of guy. Not someone you maybe rely on the outside. But there's a couple clips in here. Let me go to this. So this is a cut up that I posted. These are the clips that actually get me really excited watching it. Because like here he is one-on-one press man versus the team's top corner in creating separation on a slam route. He beats the press off the ball. Like this is some examples. Like I actually think like when he was in these situations, he did better than I expected. This one's here's getting yak. Let me find it. Here's him running a route, you know, stick and nod. This is like what I want to see him do in the slot. Run the stick and nod, create separation. Liam gets beat. There's another play somewhere. Here's another one where he doesn't get the ball. Because there was plays where he wasn't getting the ball, like right here. One-on-one on the outside versus the team's top corner. Look at him, get him to open up his hips, attack the blind spot, get wide open. This was the play that was thrown deep to Tyreek. Another route working to the blind spot. Ball goes to Tyreek, but he gets open. So I don't think he's ever going to be like a huge create separation guy. But he actually was better than I expected in the film breakdown. Because he didn't run a ton of routes. You know, he got designed a lot of stuff. There's another play. All right, maybe I don't have it in this one. Yeah, I guess I don't have it in this one. There's actually one play against the Texans where... Oh, no, here it is, actually. I just found it. Never mind. Let me go back to it. So right here, on the outside, top of the screen. Malik Washington versus Derek Stingley. Derek Stingley absolutely shut down Tyreek Hill so hard. And here's Malik Washington one-on-one, man-to-man, attacking the outside stem, getting him to open up his hips, and then crossing him up, getting the inside and getting that open. Unfortunately, Tua had to escape the pocket to his left, so he never would have got to him. But like, hey, Malik's actually separation was much better than I thought it would be going into the film breakdown. Let's see the channel continue to go with Dolphins running mainly 2 out of Would you rather alternate Waddle and Hill to keep them fresh with Malik and NWI as number 2 and various tight end / wide receiver 3s? I think a mix of that, Mikey, for sure. Like, I think depending on the play call, because I think there's just different play calls that could suit them. Like, I think if you're, I do like the idea of mixing them up too, because I think having NWI out there, not their obvious 2 receiver sets, is great too, because he can also be a part of like the blocking and stuff, because he's a good blocker. And he would, you know, mix with Tyreek and Waddle pretty nicely. But then I also like the idea of still doing Tyreek and Waddle as your 2 receiver sets, because they can really stretch the field and that they can work the timing off of each other nicely with those 2 route concepts. Because sometimes there's routes that the Dolphins run like that there's Yankee, and then there's like the dagger stuff they like to use. And daggers, your slot guys running vertical, and your deep guys running like the deep dig route. Waddle and Tyreek do that off each other really nicely because when one of them's running the dig, if it's another receiver, they kind of get there too quickly because the person running the clear out from the slot isn't fast enough. But when one of them's Waddle, one of them's Tyreek, it allows the timing to work out better. So I think it just depends on the route concept. But I don't mind switching it up. Obviously, best battle will be QB1. Yeah. What's funny, I got a comment on the video yesterday. They were clearly trolling because they posted 2 comments back to back. And one was like, Tua is the best. He's the greatest. And the other one was from the same exact account being like, Tua sucks. Quinn Ewers and Zach Wilson is better. Gave me a good laugh. What QB do you think best fit McDaniel's scheme? I mean, it's the guys that are in that Shanahan system. It is like Tua is one of the better fits for the McDaniel scheme. Guys like Purdy, CJ Stroud, Matt Stafford. Who else is up there in that type of scheme that I think would be good? Jordan Love runs a similar type. Need to a hip news? I don't think so. Thunderstorm, Duck White, Lightning Pod, Archie Dylan, Marshall Dylan, Darth Gator, yeah. That's good. Oh, I love Malik. Malik's one of my favorite players on the team, honestly. Would you trade Hill for a lineman from the Chiefs and Xavier Worthy? I don't think the Chiefs would do that. I don't even think they would do it straight up for Xavier. They wouldn't do it straight up for Xavier Worthy. I think Hill does not have a lot of value. Why don't they make more RBs like Ron Dane, Bettis, Brandon Jacobs, also etc.? What's the shift? Is it NFL or college that changed that? Probably a bit of both of what you're talking about, but then also other things. It's just like maybe kids that were bigger just weren't playing running back as often. Maybe, coaches at the younger age were like, hey, we're going to play you at, linebacker, or because I think that happens a lot. A lot of those guys that played maybe high school running back do end up shifting to like linebacker at the college level. So it could be the college thing. Because also like, I don't think it's because the NFL in terms of like, oh, they don't want it anymore. But I think maybe once they get to college, they think like, hey, the NFL is moving to a faster paced thing. We're going to move you here because we think this is your best chance of making it to there. So, I don't know though. It's also, I think, just to be like hard to be that big of a running back and be quite still athletic enough. But there is still some, there's still some guys like that in the NFL, just not as many. Desmond Ridder is signing with the Bengals. Okay. That's what I see. Yeah, okay. Yes. Any final questions? Because I think that was everything I wanted to go over. Shout out to you guys. Boo. To be fair, oh dude, I saw some people ranking Xavier. I saw some people saying Xavier Worthy was already better than Jalen Waddle. I couldn't disagree more. Boo, hiccup's gone. Oh, was I hiccuping? Imagine Derrick Henry as a linebacker. I mean, hey, there probably was a world where people were telling him to switch to linebacker. Wouldn't be surprised. Ooh. Great stream. Thank you. We'll be streaming a lot. I know I haven't streamed a ton this offseason, but when training camp's happening, I'm going to be streaming like most training camp days. Like when there's news to talk about in the training camps, I'm going to be streaming, talk about it, because we need some new football stuff. And I'm also very excited for preseason. I disagree. I feel like he's too small. But Worthy? Oh. Yeah. I've never been this excited. Never spent a season long. Hey, at least you're excited, because I've seen some fans be like, this is the least excited they've ever been. I mean, I'm always excited, but yeah, this is definitely one type of season where like it could go either way. So the nerves make a lot of sense. But yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.